They got to sit up. You got to put one board where you're saying, okay, we'll build it through the draft. You look at the other board and say, hey, what can we do free agency-wise? Can we go after this thing now? I think you got to look at it, because if you do get a mature quarterback who's ready to win now, you go for it. You go out, you go after guys who can help you now, and you worry about the future when the future gets there. So I think that's a choice you have to make, because the Eagles did a lot on the year that they wanted. They did a lot in free agency.
That was the best. I'm sure JAKIB remembers that. Garry was in Los Angeles the whole time from Fox 29. Our dear friend Garry Cobb joins us now. And Garry, you had a great time, I'm sure of it, in Los Angeles. But, dude, I'll say this one more time to you. That's a Trojan town, man. That ain't no Rams town.
They're a Trojan town. I mean, if that was a national championship or something like that. But they just do not. They always have been kind of lukewarm to the Rams. And then, remember, the Rams left for a while, but you could tell that they don't care about the Rams. There's just not a fervor. There's no love there. Now, of course, they're into the Lakers. They're into the Dodgers. But the Rams, it's not a love. It's not a hug. It's like a handshake. You know what I mean? Or really not even a handshake. They're just not into the Rams. I mean, that parade, if you want to call it a parade.
I mean, they're like 40 people in walking the street. I'm like, where the hell is everybody, man?
They just didn't have it, and then you got, really, when you think about it, look how many guys came in that they're most known for playing other places, and they came in there and helped them win that championship. Now I got to give it to their organization, because they clearly said, we're going to win the doggone championship this year. They went after it, and they got it done. And, of course, the GM with that shirt he was wearing and stuff, about the pigs. So.
Yeah, Les Snead, man, he was wearing that shirt about. That leads me to this question, Garry. You and I were raised that organizations built teams through the draft, and this year the Eagles have 11 draft choices, obviously 3 in the first round here, as we've been talking for the last couple months here. But the Rams and the Buccaneers in the last 2 Super Bowls have shown us that if you have a core group of guys and you have a few dudes that are on your football team that you're buying into, you could fill the gaps with free agency. Look at what they did. Von Miller, They went out, got another guy on the other side of Donald. They went out, they got OBJ. I mean, they went out, they wanted to upgrade the quarterback position. I mean, Cooper Kupp is phenomenal, but Cooper Kupp is not Cooper Kupp if he has Jared Goff. But because he has a Hall of Fame arm in Matthew Stafford, they wanted to upgrade the position, and it resulted in a Super Bowl. My question to you is, do you think that the Eagles need to look at the new way of building a team through free agency, or do you think they should stick to their guns and still hold through the draft and try to build this thing through the draft?
I think they need to look both ways. I think they've got to look at free agency and say, who is out there? Who could we acquire? They got to sit up. You got to put one board where you're saying, okay, we'll build it through the draft. You look at the other board and say, hey, what can we do free agency-wise? Can we go after this thing now? I think you got to look at it, because if you do get a mature quarterback who's ready to win now, you go for it. You go out, you go after guys who can help you now, and you worry about the future when the future gets there. So I think that's a choice you have to make, because the Eagles did a lot on the year that they wanted. They did a lot in free agency. A lot of veteran players who were on their last run. That's why so many of them left out of there pretty quickly after that. But they gave them that last run, and there were guys that were seasoned. Because, look, Stafford, some of the plays he made, a young quarterback's not going to make those plays in that game with all that pressure on him. The things he was doing, where he knew where to go with the ball, he was that last drive and everything. Come on. Young quarterbacks probably they're not going to get it done. And so to be able to, have a veteran quarterback who's seen nearly everything, for that matter, they wouldn't have beat Tampa Bay without Stafford playing great. I mean, come on. There's no way. I mean, that throw at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Your young quarterback's going to get sacked. He's going to panic. All of a sudden, he's looking at a blitz. So it's something I think they got to think about. Is that something that's feasible? I mean, it's got to be feasible. I don't know if it's feasible this next year for them to bring in a veteran quarterback, but that's what they got to be thinking about. How long could it take? Is it reasonable to be able to do it? Because some of the guys they got on the team, I mean, to talk to Jason Kelce, talk him into coming back. He's coming back to win now. He's not coming back to win 3-4 years from now. Fletcher Cox, same way. So they got a lot of players who really, they already won one Super Bowl. Are they interested in building a team that's going to be built in 4 or 5 years? No, that's not really why they're playing now. They got to look at the big picture and say, what is really possible? What could we really do? Who's out there? Who could we acquire? And, they got all those draft picks. And, it's something you got to think about now. I heard somebody talking about the Eagles and really some of the, key acquisitions, how a lot of times if you do your homework, you acquire guys after their rookie contract. You go ahead and you go after a guy that's proven he can play. And he's still going up, to go after guys and be able to, because the draft, they haven't really, knocked that draft out of the park. Now, a team like Cincinnati, I mean, they had a great draft. They were up there, but I mean, it wasn't really a great move to draft.
But Gary, let me stop you with Cincinnati, because that was going to be my example. I'll tell you this, man. As great as Jamar Chase was, I'm going to tell you on Sunday, if they would have taken the kid from Oregon, Penei Sewell, the offensive lineman, they were sacked 7 times in that game.
I know.
He had an MCL injury. He was sacked another 9 times in the Titans game. 16 sacks between 2 games, 70 on the season. Gary, if Joe Burrow's in Philly with our O-line, they win that game on Sunday.
No doubt they win that game. No doubt they win that game because they run the ball on him and they get the quarterback time. And if he'd had time, man, he'd sliced them up because he was doing a good job even with being under all that pressure like that. So there's no doubt about it. A good offensive line. Cincy, to send that kid out there, they really need to throw some handcuffs on somebody for sending that kid out there behind that line. That's just, I mean, you're trying to get him hurt again.
Then they slide protect at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Center doesn't slide. You're not going to slide protect on Aaron Donald in a 3 technique where he's one-on-one. Are you out of your mind? He ran around that guy like he was at a turnstile there at Wells Fargo. Are you kidding me, man? I was like, come on.
They were just flat over matched when it came to blocking those guys. They couldn't block them. They just flat out couldn't block them. And I got to give it to Joe Burrow. This kid's a tough kid.
Tough.
Because I'd have threw the ball down and said, that's it. I'm out of here, man. Crap. How am I going to work behind this line, man? I at least would have been on the sideline, whatever. I would have been going off on the sideline on and he needs to be going off this offseason. Tell him, we better get an offensive line in here, or I tell you what, I'm not coming to camp.
Man, I would draft 10 linemen in my draft if I'm Mike Brown, the owner of the Bengals, because you have something.
That's right. Well, 10
linemen there. Hey, let me throw this at you, too. There's a lot of conversation now about, obviously, the offseason and potential quarterbacks, and there's a lot of talk circling around Philadelphia that they're going to go after and push older chips in on a veteran guy. I'll tell you something. There's no question that we've learned something, Gary. I mean, we saw the playoffs, how great they were with all the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And we see what happens with one guy, how he could change. The Bengals 2 years ago won 2 games. They won 2 games. Two games.
Yeah.
2 years ago, and one guy changed the entire room. I mean, if you're Howie and those guys, are those draft choices really that valuable to you, that much, where you think you're going to spend the next 3 or 4 years developing these guys where you could go after maybe some veteran players to fill some gaps and win today? I don't want to win in 5 years because I don't know what the future holds.
I tell you, and I know everybody says it, I like Jalen Hurts. I like the kid, Yeah, you like the kid, but you look at these quarterbacks and you go, this kid's not on that level.
It's night and day.
Yeah, come on. When he's getting rid of the ball, he's taking forever to get rid of the ball. You see those guys
can't
1, 2, 3,
spot
that
single.
ball's
Hey,
coming out.
Gary can't spot single. You know what, Gary? That when you and I and Seth Joyner, you guys, we were all saying the same thing. I can hear it. We're all saying the same thing at the same time. Single coverage. Troy Aikman was barking. That was the thing that bugged me, was that he couldn't see that. That's something that that's something that plagued him when he was at Alabama and why Saban yanked him. He's not going to get better on that.
And the thing about it is, the top quarterbacks, they come out there and they're basically running the offense at the line of scrimmage. It's 1, 2, 3, that ball's out, man. Hey, this guy's one-on-one. It's like you're playing a different offense. It's like you're in a different, hemisphere or whatever, a different, something. It's just where it's not even on the same level. With all due respects to him, you see, Stafford, you see, Burrow, the way they're getting that ball out, man. And they know where they're going with the football. And, Jalen's he's just not on that level. Is he ever going to be on that level? I don't know. But you got to be honest and say, well, he's really not on that level. So when you look at the quarterback situation, it's just quarterback. That's all. You look at the playoffs, you come out, that's all. When I close my eyes, quarterback. That's the whole playoffs. That's what you hear. You look at the Super Bowl, quarterback. It's really all you hear, all you could see, in that people with the marquee quarterbacks are the ones in the dance, and they're the ones smiling at the end of the dance. Because, Stafford took them down there on that drive. It was his, and he was working with Kupp a lot, but he's getting that ball out of there. 1, 2, 3, bang, that ball's out of there. Some of those throws, that's a seasoned, great a guy with a great arm, the marquee guys.
Hey, Gary, I think what you just said, I think that was the difference between Goff and Stafford.
Yep.
And why McVay wanted to grade up, because, look, Goff got him to the Super Bowl. He won a lot of games there with Sean McVay, but he wasn't the guy to have what you just said, that 2-minute drive. Or get this, remember, there was like 4 minutes on the clock.
That's right.
And they went 15 plays in that final drive to take that thing home. Goff doesn't do that.
No way he does that. He's going to make a mistake. He's going to throw a pick. He can't throw that, the pass that you just go, oh, how did he get that in there? Stafford he's just got great arm talent, and that's the separator. That's the separator, and really when it came down in these playoffs, the people with the marquee quarterbacks went on. The people didn't have the quarterback talent, they went home.
Let me throw these at you here.
Yeah.
And with everyone talking, there's a lot of talk about these particular players. Who do you think, if we're playing fantasy football here, who do you think would be the person that would fit best for Philadelphia here?
Okay.
Rodgers, Jimmy G, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, or potentially Kyler Murray?
Well, if you go with the veteran guys, you don't have as much time. You got to win now. So, you look at Kyler Murray and Deshaun Watson. I think this team is more geared towards them, because I think they would have to add a lot, man. They would have to.
Kyler Murray is more like Vic to me than Jalen is.
Yeah, he is. He's more like Vic. Yeah, he's more like Vic. But he's got the arm talent, meaning he can make every throw. The same thing with Deshaun Watson. He can make every throw. And so it's a matter of you get with those kids and you got to have the quarterback and the offensive coordinator and the head coach, whatever. They got to be on the same flow, and they got to let him do things that he does best, which is, but the guys can make the throws. Now, you got to have people they can throw the ball to. You got to have, you got a tight end. You got one receiver. I don't know. You can say you got more than one receiver out there, that really is on the level that you need to get.
I think they have one.
Yeah, they got one. So you got to add pieces. And if you're going to go out there and you're going to get one of those veteran guys, you got 4 or 5 years to get it done, and then that's it. So I think it's going to be very fascinating as to what they do. I don't know which way they're going to go, but I can tell you right now, as we're talking, they are doing something right now. You better be there looking into this thing right now, because if they're not doing it, they're not doing their job, because, you got to get the quarterback, and they've got to get that position where they got a marquee guy in that spot. Now, if they were to look at the draft and say, you know what, we see somebody that's coming out next year, I don't know that you do, that you can do that. But I know they got to be sitting talking about, the marquee guys that are available. Could they get one of those guys? That's got to be part of the discussion, because the people with those marquee quarterbacks, they're the ones that are winning in the NFL now.
Final question for you, Gary. Are you surprised that the noise coming out of Indianapolis is that they'd like to move off of Carson Wentz?
I was surprised initially. But he really just lost people in that Jacksonville game. I mean, how could you not be ready to?
He lost me too, Gary. Gary, he lost. You got to win that game. They had 2
You got to
wins.
win that game. You get embarrassed by Jacksonville,
yeah,
and you play horribly. You play horribly in that game. You got an all-pro running back you're handing the ball to all season. You got a quality defense, and you don't make the playoffs. I'm sorry, I tell you, he really just, to unravel like he has, he'll probably get a shot from somebody else, though. There's some bottom feeders that'll take him for, but it looks like he's done in Indy. When you have stuff start coming out like that, he's probably done.
Yeah, the owner and the general manager and even Frank Reich not committing to him. Gary, I appreciate it.
He definitely had a bad couple years, huh?
Yeah.
he gets run out of Philly, and then he's looked like he's going to get run out of Indy. Wow.
Not good, man. Not good. You talk about a nosedive for one's career. There it is on display right there.
Wow.
Hey, Gary, appreciate it, my friend. Thank you so much.
All right, have a good one.
You got it. Garry Cobb from Fox 29 in Philadelphia. Yeah, we'll talk about Wentz. Dude, he goes from Philly, gets run out of town there, right? Then you have the owner now in Indianapolis, Jim Irsay, and Chris Ballard, the general manager, and now even Frank Reich going, I don't know, but what's their options? Garoppolo? Maybe. All right. That leaves